particular specific show, series, what have you. Because I think the obvious statement is that the variations in terms of brand between CBS, NBC, ABC, arguably even Fox, are very minimal. It'd be hard to say there's a brand there. On the other hand, for better or worse, virtually every cable network strives to have a definable brand.
And a lot of times that brand comes out of hit.
Yeah.
The history of a lot of these channels is that there's a hit, whether it was South Park or Comedy Central or The Shield on FX, that informs your brand. No matter what you say your brand is, when that hit hits, then you chase that hit and you chase that, and that becomes your brand in a lot of ways for a lot of these channels.
Thank you for anticipating my next question, because historically hits do define channels. You put on Full House and all of a sudden ABC's doing family comedies, that sort of thing. So to what extent, once you lay out a brand, can you still chase hits? Especially if, say, that hit is not a perfect fit with what you've laid out as your brand.
I don't actually think we chase hits. We really try and chase programming that ultimately fits our brand, because I could have 100 different kinds of shows on the air. That was our objective. We try to see what our audience responds to, and then we really dissect what it is in that experience that they like, and we'll provide more of that in other kinds of shows. But I think, especially in cable, one show, we're not in a one-show, one-hit game. I think that was something that maybe 20 years ago you could do. Now you really have to build an experience. And I have found, I had a personal experience watching a show on another network that was very off-brand. And it was actually a comedy, but it didn't fit. And it really showed me that while we all say nobody watches a brand or watches the network, it does inform the experience that you're going to have with that network. So when you go to it, if something doesn't fit, hit or not, you're not really building a business.
Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
I think it's a lot easier to look and to create that hit in the context of your brand. We're basically creating a setting of expectations, and which is what the brand is. Then you hope that you put in each month, each year, what have you, something that takes that brand and brings it either in a surprising direction, a different direction, shouts it even higher. We had a show called Buried Secrets, Secret Voices. Buried Secrets, Secret Voices, or something like that. Shows you the importance of the brand. But the show premiered in January, I think, for us. I mean, again, we'll be close to 80 million subs by the middle of this year. So we're a lot smaller than a lot of larger, fully distributed networks. That show debuted to a 1.6. That's a big number for a network like us. Because we obviously struck a vein in telling a story of crime and justice and mystery, but we did it in a slightly different way. It was a first-person voice. You can argue whether it was good or bad, but for our audience, they said, well, this is different. This has got a little top spin to it. But it was within the brand. And I think that's what gets you the big hit.
Well, I think hits, though, are important. I would love a hit. I think if you look back, The Shield, I think, was a big hit for FX and really defined who they were. And then they started making content sort of off of that. I think that Mad Men for AMC, which was this movie network, Mad Men, the hit of Mad Men, and it wasn't like Mad Men's a critical hit, not necessarily a viewer hit, allowed them to make Breaking Bad and to make the zombie show. And so I think, and even if you look at Queer Eye, what it did for Bravo, it really informed what Bravo then became. So I think hits are pretty important. I think MTV right now is really happy to have the Jersey Shore. And I don't know, it'll be interesting what Jersey Shore does. I mean, Christina may be able to talk more like what that will do to inform their brand, but I know that they're really happy to have it. And I think for cable, unlike network, broadcast network, we can sort of live off of one hit and really make that work and build other things off of that. I think for broadcasters, it's hard to really build their business off of just getting one hit. So I think in that way, our business is more fortunate.
We built the brand off the UFC. It was like we had this framework of action because we did sort of an inventory of all the programming that was on Spike at the time. And there was wrestling and there was Blade coming, which was sort of an action, scripted action hour. And you looked at it all and you said, okay, that's a loose enough sort of definition of what the brand is and what we hope people think when they come here and they watch it. And then the UFC happened and it was like, okay, well, let's just chase that because it's an enormously popular
actually not built with one hit overnight. It started with Lizzie McGuire, then Raven, then High School Musical, Hannah Montana, and now we have Shake It Up on the air. 10 years, #1 in primetime with tweens. It's something that really got built over time, but really starting with a brand vision, informing the decision making, and in our case, the original programming, because we are unique in many ways, like other brands as well, in that we have a true global presence, so we need to deliver a brand consistency to the 95 channels we have around the world for everything we do. So we really do start with the brand, and we've done the same exact thing with Disney Junior. We defined the Disney Junior brand. We spoke about what it stood for, did the whole brand vision exercise, which I'm sure all of us have done repeatedly. And once we decided what we're going after, then we start working on the original programming that will feed the domestic and international channels. And in the case of Disney Junior, the reflection is Jake and the Neverland Pirates, which we launched yesterday, which truly reflects our new brand vision. So we start with the brand and then work on the programming. And sometimes it takes a little longer, but we get there.
I think to the extent